Today, we have a treat for you. Everybody has asked for it and we are happy to provide. This is going to be your compact, or let's say larger micro compact comped gun showdown. Purposely omitted was the Smith & Wesson Shield Carry Comp. Purposely omitted because it has a 10 round overall grip length with grip extensions that go on the magazines. All of the pistols we have here, SIG X Macro Comp, Shadow Systems, CR920XP, and the newer Hellcat Pro Comp. All of these pistols have a minimum of 15 round capacity from the overall grip length themselves. Obviously the X Macro holds 17 to start with. There are no 15 round magazines for it. The Shadow Systems has a 15 round magazine and the Hellcat has a 15 round magazine. The Hellcat and the Shadow Systems both offer additional magazines to where you can either have 17 rounds for the Hellcat or you can get 18 rounds for the Shadow Systems. Now, the 18 round mags are not out yet for the Shadow Systems. However, they are definitely in the pipeline and they are coming very soon. Shadow Systems has been very vocal about that. I have shot all of these pistols. All of these pistols have their own separate reviews, except for the X Macro, which was actually one of our most popular videos we ever did because we did it right when this pistol came out, and that was unfortunately removed by YouTube. So we're not going to get into all the details about that. However, we did do a full review on it and I think it's a fantastic pistol. All of these pistols come at a recommendation from me for most users. I don't really think any of these are bad pistols. I think they're all good pistols. I think they're all good options. I happen to enjoy shooting all of them. Personally, I carry the Shadow Systems CR920XP, personally. My father, or dad, he carries the X Macro. This is the comp version. He loves this pistol. He loves how it feels. He's 66 years old. You know, Andrew and my brother, they've carried a lot of the Hellcat pistols themselves and they happen to like them. If they're not carrying these, they usually carry Shadow Systems. So these pistols themselves, we have a good reputation with reliability. They have a good reputation with how they shoot, and they have a good reputation for a wide variance of users. More skilled shooters versus less skilled shooters, older folks versus younger folks, and all of them fit all of those people. So this review of these three pistols in comparison will fit everybody. But guys, if you're new here to the channel, what I need you to do is I need you to like the video, I need you to comment, I need you to share it with somebody else. By sharing the video and pushing the message out to others, it helps our channel grow, and it helps us put videos out that you want to see. In addition to that, it helps fund the channel so we can buy guns like most of the stuff we have on the table, especially this X Macro. But with all these pistols, what I want to talk about is which one of these shoots the best and which one of them has benefits over the others. So we'll start off with the Macro and give you a quick rundown of each one of these. The Macro, again, 17 round capacity, Picatinny rail, which you can mount a TLR7A on here. It has a 3.1 inch barrel with an expansion chamber here on the front. It does not actually have a compensator, and it is not actually a ported barrel. It's just a shorter barrel with an expansion chamber built into the slide, and this is SIG's version of a comped pistol. Night sights on here, optics cut, which you can mount the SIG optics, you can mount the Holosun stuff, or you can mount the Vortex Defender CCW. Now we'll get into the Shadow Systems. The Shadow Systems pistol itself, this is the CR920XP. We just reviewed this. I have, let's say, roughly 400 to 500 rounds through it now, if not more. I do carry this thing already because I find it very concealable and easy to carry. And I also like how I personally shoot it. So I'm gonna leave my personal opinion on how I shoot this pistol versus the other ones out of it and let you guys see the results. But the Shadow Systems pistol itself has a 3.73 inch barrel. So it's actually a longer overall length barrel. You're getting a whole, let's say, over half an inch longer barrel on here. For some folks, you're gonna see higher velocities on your ammo, and it could change some things for some people that really care about that. It has an actual compensator on here that is a lug design that can be taken off the pistol, and it is 50 state legal. All of these pistols have 50 state legal comps on them. The optic system on here is a multi-optic footprint. It takes all of the popular micro optics on here. Obviously, you have an EPS carry on this pistol. It does have night sights, but it does have a beaver tail just like the Macro. Good grip textures, and it does have an enlarged mag well here at the bottom for your 15 round magazine. Now this does hold 2 rounds less than the SIG. However, the grip is also shorter and the overall length on your grip is shorter. So it holds less, but that's also because it's smaller. It does have more of like a mag well or more of like a funnel than the other two pistols. So right away, we're starting to see some differences here where Shadow Systems may be pulling ahead without having shot them. So you're gonna see too, it has lightning cuts, which the other ones do not. It has better slide serrations than the other ones. And on top of it, you know, price difference wise, the Hellcat's the cheapest, the Shadow Systems is the most expensive, and then the Macro is somewhere in between. None of these pistols cost over $900. You can basically look for them and find them between $700 to $900 for all of these pistols. They're all at price ranges and prices that would fit the average user looking for a more performance-centered carry gun. So now Shadow Systems, you know, obviously we've shot a lot of their pistols. I've had great luck. The review on this thing was phenomenal and it shoots really great. Really, there's nothing that they didn't get right when coming out with this pistol, but they are the last one to the table. So the Macro is the you know, basically that true genre into the larger slimline compact guns with a comp on it, okay? And then Springfield, the Hellcat Pro Comp, we also did a full review on this, and we noticed noticeable differences between the standard Hellcat Pro and the Pro Comp. I did notice a reduction in recoil, but what I will tell you is in general, the Hellcat pistols are snappier than the rest of them. I'm not sure whether it's due to the spring rates that are in them, but generally speaking, they are snappier. But what I'll tell you is in the same token, what I noticed when I racked the slides of these, the Hellcat Pro Comp feels the smoothest out of all of them. I can't sit here and tell you it has more rounds. In fact, this X Macro probably has close to 3,000 rounds through it. It's been shot a lot. And this thing is good. Obviously, it has this, you know, Walmart special shield red dot on here, which is absolutely horrible. Don't ever buy one of these things. And then back here on the back, you have a U-notch rear sight, which I happen to really like. And it has good iron sights. All of these have very acceptable iron sights for a carry gun. Then up here, you do have a ported barrel. The overall length of the barrel is 3.7 inches. So this pistol itself is actually the shortest of the bunch. It does have a pick rail up here that you can mount a 7A for Streamlight on here. The port on here though, does take off from the actual rifling of the barrel and drops that barrel length down closer to 3.1. So again, the Shadow Systems, although a touch longer, okay, we're looking at about 1/4 of an inch overall length on the end, it also has the longest actual barrel with rifling, which can translate into different velocities with your carry ammo. And some folks have actually found in some ways, I'm not a huge believer in this, but I've seen it, where you're getting better expansion out of your carry rounds due to those velocities. It's not a huge difference. You're talking about 1/2 of an inch. It's not that big of a difference. Magazine release on here feels good. It's probably one of my more favorites on this pistol, but I will tell you, the magwell itself is not funneled or beveled like the other two pistols. In fact, it's probably one of the harder ones to actually insert a magazine. It does carry a 15-round mag and then comes with a 17-rounder. So you get two 15s with the Shadow Systems, two 17-round mags with the SIG, and then you get a 15 and a 17 with the Hellcat. Obviously, Shadow Systems has those 18s coming out. They are not out right now, but you'll see all these pistols have similar capacities. They have similar features, and at the end of the day, they all have good grip textures. None of them I feel like are really lacking, and if I was gonna pick one that has the worst grip textures, I'd say it's the SIG, and that's just because they really just don't have anything up here. Nothing high. You know, you'll see that the Hellcat has it all around, even a thumb ledge type deal, and then of course the Shadow System has it real high as well. It has the most aggressive. I prefer the Hellcat after that, and then after that, you had the SIG. So for myself, if you've watched our videos, I always like very aggressive grip textures. You know, even the Shadow System, carrying it every day in the hot summer and things like that, with the ones I have carried, and I've carried SIGs, I've carried the Macro before, they don't chafe your skin. They're not that rough. We're not looking at like metal abrasiveness per se. So they're overall, they're really good as far as that stuff goes. Now these pistols, again, we've had good reviews of all of them. Not one single issue across the board of any of these. There was a slight break-in period with the Shadow Systems, but in the same token, when using lighter, crappy ammo out of the Macro, I have experienced malfunctions. Using anything that's decent in your carry ammo, no issues whatsoever. I've had no issues with the Hellcat ever. So all of these, in the grand scheme of things, they all have good reliability. I've talked enough about these little pistols. Let's get out here in the range, let's shoot them, we'll compare how each one of these shoots, and we'll give you guys a clear and defined winner at the end of the day. We're gonna start off shooting today with the SIG X Macro Comp. The magazines, when loading these 17-round magazines, I actually can't push 17 rounds into these with our Maglula loaders. You can get it in with your thumb if you push really hard, but then the other thing you have is actually like the magazine. Like if you're thinking you're just gonna seat the mag like nice and easy, you cannot. You have to actually slam it in there real hard to actually get it to seat properly with the Max Macro. We'll shoot a few rounds through each one of these to start, and then we'll go back and forth between them. Each one of our targets we have here today, they're all labeled, so X Macro Comp, CR920XP, and then our Hellcat Pro Comp. So shoots good. You can definitely feel the overall effectiveness of the comp here on the X Macro Comp. It does feel good in your hand. You know, for a large hand, the grip length for me is very good. It has a very neutral grip angle. And for folks that don't like a Glock style grip angle, you'll find this to be very nice. So we'll now shoot our CR920XP. So same thing with the CR920XP as the X Macro. I get a good overall grip. I can feel my grip actually getting up a little higher. I never get slide bite with the X Macro, and I have given myself slide bite with the XP. For myself, I like how the mags insert into here, and there are no issues loading these magazines whatsoever. You do not need a mag loader to do it, and they do not hurt your thumbs to load them either. So let's shoot this pistol now. We'll wait to the end to tell you which one shoots the softest. And most importantly, the overarching goal today is obviously, because this is my carry gun and to try and remain objective for you guys, we'll let the camera and how it looks on video do the talking as far as to which one of these pistols shoots the softest. But let's just put it this way, the CR920XP shoots really, really well. The Hellcat Pro Comp, similar size grip length and everything like that. I'm able to get a full size grip, and this is another one of those pistols I've never given myself slide bite. I'd actually just gave myself slide bite with the CR920XP because I get a very high grip. That also tells you that with that CR, I am able to get a higher grip, and it is a little bit lower in your hand. However, we're not going to talk about bore axis because there's not a huge difference between these three. So let's shoot the Hellcat. Feels very good. You know, I can tell you from shooting all of these pistols just now, 17 rounds, 15 rounds, 15 rounds, they all shoot very, very well. They all fit that middle ground between your, I hate to shoot these micro compacts, and the compact is just a little bit too fat for me to constantly carry in warm climates or really conceal it ultra concealably. Let's go up here to these targets. We'll look at the targets real quick so everybody can see them. And we'll just go from Hellcat to CR920XP. We're shooting at about 7 yards today. The targets are Opata 50% targets. So these are not full size, you know, human silhouettes. These are 50%, so half the size. Right here, 15 rounds Hellcat Pro Comp. Same distance, Shadow Systems CR920XP. You'll see it's obviously a tighter group. And then you see here with the X Macro Comp, same distance on that 50%, a good tight group as well. So you see really with all of these pistols, my overall ability to shoot each one of them isn't all that much different, which is important to recognize as I review these and give you guys comments about all of them. There is no doubt in my mind at this point so far that the XP from Shadow Systems has a more effective compensator on it. It feels like it. In fact, watching the dot, especially on the Hellcat versus the Shadow Systems, is way different. In fact, the dot really never leaves the window on that XP, and if it does, it's very rare. The Hellcat, I'm picking it up every single time as it comes back into the sight picture. Obviously, I shot irons on here. I've shot irons basically, you know, 9 years of the bulk of my, you know, say 13 years of handgun shooting. So I have no issue shooting irons either. In fact, I like SIG sights. I shoot them well. But it's really hard to say that the Shadow System doesn't shoot softer. Flatter? Yeah, it shoots flatter too. Trigger-wise, all three of the triggers under live fire, can't see a huge difference. Got a few more mags loaded up. Let's shoot those again. I'm going to shoot now each one of these pistols with a 2 to the chest and 1 to the head. So 175, all good hits, no complaints whatsoever with that. 173, so just slightly faster. Again, there is a red dot on this pistol. Red dots, they do help things. You know, you're not having to like line up sights and get them right, especially if we're shooting 50% targets and get those. The pistol shoots softer. So 1.85, and with this one here, I could immediately tell compared to the CR920XP was that after, you know, firing my first 2 shots at center mass and coming up to the head, the dot wasn't predictably there like I expect when I'm shooting the other 2, really. I mean, I can't even say that the Hellcat Pro comp shoots as good as the X Macro. What I can say is that it feels good in the hand, but it's noticeably snappier than the other 2 pistols. The comp definitely works, but there's still some level of like a snap in there that you don't really feel with the other 2 pistols whatsoever. You know, and I can certainly tell you based off like ranking these, you know, third of the way through today, you know, the Hellcat Pro comp is the snappiest of them. And the comp itself, because of that, doesn't feel nearly as effective. It also has a smaller and less blast chamber than the other 2. So you would expect that. What we're now going to do is a close-up for recoil comparison so you can see each one of these pistols. Again, we'll let the video do the talking. For my magical, you know, bin of pistols here in the ammo can, the Springfield Armory Hellcat Pro Comp. Halfway through analysis. The snappiest, the worst trigger, dot leaves the window the most. I shoot it fine, but I also find myself regularly shooting it slower under predictive shooting because the dot is not coming back to where I want it to go every single time. So I actually am shooting it a little bit slower in order to achieve that. The Shadow Systems. The Shadow Systems shoots the softest. The Shadow Systems has the best trigger, which in relation to that, for everybody that is a naysayer about the triggers on these, shoot them and let the trigger break in. It is not great out of the box. Neither is Macro, and neither is a Hellcat. They actually kind of all are like mediocre at best, but the Shadow System trigger is the best. The slide serrations are the best. The grip textures feel the best in my hand under recoil. The grip in my hand, I think I like the Macro better. The Macro in my hand feels better in my hand. I like how it feels better. I do not get the slide bite. However, the Shadow System shoots softer. I find I can shoot it faster. I find it's more predictable under recoil, and you can just really run this thing more like a full-size gun. Now, the X Macro, I love these things. In fact, anybody that's on the fence about these, I don't think you need to be anymore because they've been out for a while. And this one, our personal one that we bought, you know, like I said, has about 3,000 rounds through it. It's been nothing but reliable and shoots really well. In fact, like I said, my dad loves it. He finds it very easy to rack. He finds it easier to rack than the Shadow Systems pistol. In fact, he says he would still pick this over that. He's 66 years old with not quite the pistol experience I have, but he finds this to be a better shooting pistol for him. So guys, that's an important takeaway. Magazine release wise, I like the X Macro's magazine release the best. However, the magazines don't drop free perfectly well. They drop the best out of the Shadow Systems pistol. And what I actually found is with the X Macro, loading the pistol is the hardest. And that's kind of annoying because it's actually like just how you have to, you know, slam that in there. And I just don't really care for that. It's just, you know, under stress and things like that, you don't want to worry about any extra effort you have to put into something. Yeah, you're going to be doing it forcefully, no doubt about that, but you don't need to do that with the Shadow Systems. So, you know, and really it's important too, though, to show you guys the targets. So let's look at each one of these targets. You know, I'm not shooting these pistols super fast. I'm not shooting them super slow, but you're going to recognize with all of these pistols that, you know, practical accuracy that I see some people talking about. They'll get up here and they'll be like, it's a fist-sized group, it's accurate. You know, like, guys, that's complete horse shit, if I'm being frank. You're not gonna outshoot these carry guns. They're all more accurate than you are. If you bench rest them, they'll be more accurate than you are. I'm a good shooter. They're more accurate than me. They all shoot great. They're all perfectly acceptable. and they're all great options, like I said at the very beginning. So with all of that being said, let's shoot these triggers under live fire. We'll throw some more recoil up there and I'll give you guys some final thoughts. But again, it's really probably showing clear at this point in the video that the Shadow Systems is the softest shooting pistol out of these three, and it's really not that close when it comes to that. It just really tracks super straight. I mean, no dot leaving the window. You know, the macro, easily a very close second. It is a really good pistol. And at the price point, the two are so similar. You know, the Hellcat, if you're looking for a comp pistol at this point, I can't sit here and tell you that you should get it over the other two. But let's continue shooting. Let's talk about the triggers. Starting off with the SIG X Macro Comp. Just do this one-handed. You're gonna see here, you got your trigger. It's a flat blade style with no shoe like the other two. You have a very light take up, and then you have resistance. With SIG triggers, you pull through the resistance, and it's about the wall now. So fairly short reset, it's audible, but there is gonna be a pull through there. It should be at about the edge. They don't break crisp or clean. That's a standard for 320s and 365. Overall breaking weight though, we're talking about 4.5 to 5 pounds. Good overall, you know, CCW EDC weight. But again, that take up, so you see it's a very light take up. You hit resistance, you hit that resistance, pull through it some at the wall, and you're done. What I'll tell you with the, well, might as well show it. There's a malfunction there. The round, that's a magazine related issue. The round's actually nose diving into the magazine itself. So that's the first time we've ever had a malfunction with these. There's still 10 rounds in the magazine, but that round itself and the macro actually nosedived into the magazine. But with SIG triggers in general, they're not really predictable unless you have tons and tons of rounds through them. I could not tell you how many rounds I have through SIG triggers, but there is a wall in there. You got to find it, and you have to know that you got to push through it, and obviously be careful doing so. So again, let's just take that take up through that creepy section there. Should be about the wall. It's not going to really have a firm, hard wall, but it's there. So overall, the trigger is not bad. It's very shootable and a very serviceable trigger. What I want to make mention of while we have a moment is with Shadow Systems, unlike the other two manufacturers, their magazines, they kind of like didn't leave a stone left unturned. All of them have the ability where you could strip the magazine, but neither one of those other two brands have ridges or a gripping surface to actually strip the magazine if you need to. And actually, as you saw with that malfunction, that's a strip the magazine kind of malfunction. So able to do it, of course, but with this pistol, how it sticks out the bottom, if you were to come down your grip, you can see you can actually grip onto the bottom of that magazine and strip it out if you need to. But one-handed here with the Shadow Systems, standard, you know, 43X type trigger. It's really not a whole lot different than those or the 48. So you come down, you got some take up, roll through, end of the striker, or I should say the plunger, and then it breaks. There is the defined section where you're gonna hit that. Nice audible reset if you're in the riding the reset. And then again, across the plunger, and it breaks crisp and clean. If you shot in a 48, a 43X, the other Shadow Systems triggers, it's what you can expect. I like it better in the fact that it's a more predictable trigger than the SIG because it's easier to find that. However, what I'll tell you is it does feel like it's a touch heavier than what you find on the X Macro. The last pistol we're going to do is the Hellcat Pro, and we're going to show the trigger on it. With the Hellcat Pro, it's very similar to how a Glock style trigger is. So you have your blade there, and then it's pretty flat once you pull through. Let's see if we got any creep. We're at resistance. There's some creep, creep. Not really a predictable area in there. In fact, I have a harder time finding that than what I had on the SIG. But what I'll tell you is I like how the shoe feels on my finger a lot. But what I've also noticed is that I find it harder to actually shoot one-handed with this pistol and be more accurate than the other two. And it's because what I'm finding is, especially when you're shooting one-handed, you don't have your other hand to give you any extra support, so it's even more important to get a proper trigger press. And with this thing, it makes it more difficult. It's just not really all that predictable. It's in there. There's just not really like a firm breaking point. It's just more like a harder resistance, and this is without a doubt the heaviest trigger of the bunch. Heaviest trigger of the bunch, no doubt about it, it is the snappiest of the two. And it's a significant level of snap or more recoil than the other two pistols. We have one last final treat for you guys today. We've shot all of these pistols. We talked about velocity, but fortunately for you, we are proud owners of the Garmin X1 Chronograph. So we are going to chronograph each one of these pistols using 147 grain ammunition. It will be Federal American Eagle, so it's not a carry ammo, but it is a heavier weight bullet like you would expect from a carry gun. In addition to that, that 147 grain stuff, usually with a comp, becomes even more like an effective point of view with that gun. So we'll shoot that. We'll shoot about 5 to 10 rounds through each one of these pistols with that comp and with those different barrel lengths, and we'll be able to show you guys those statistics. Set up a session with our Garmin here. Pistol, that, good. Put the projectile weight 147 grain. Tells you 5 to 15 inches above and just behind with your muzzle. So 5 shots with the SIG X macro. Five shots with the Shadow System CR920XP. Ready? Ooh-wee. Today we covered all of these guns. We covered how they all shoot, and then finally at the end we covered muzzle velocities, and we showed what the differences are. The Hellcat Pro comp shoots the fastest out of all of them. It also has one of the shorter barrels out of all of them, while this has the longest barrel being the Shadow Systems. The Hellcat Pro is like a little over 960 feet per second, and then the other two are 927 and 929 for the Shadow System. So you're seeing that the Hellcat is the fastest shooting of the bunch for actual real-world muzzle velocities from our Garmin Chronograph. But what I'll tell you is that the Hellcat Pro comp shoots the absolute snappiest out of these two. It is a very noticeable difference. The trigger is way heavier. The slide serrations aren't as good as the other two. The grip textures are good. It doesn't have any level of a mag well on the bottom. Magazines are fine. The mag release is good. The optics cut itself is just like the SIG, so it's compatible with most of your popular stuff, so no issues on there. It's a good pistol. It ranks third out of these three. Next is the SIG X Macro, which obviously means the shadow systems can be crowned the flattest, softest shooting micro compact pistol on the market, or slimline compact pistol on the market for us. We've shot all of these, and this thing definitely shoots flatter. You can feel it and a noticeable difference. The trigger itself is on par or about the same as the SIG trigger. The grip textures are better than what SIG has. The magazines load easy. They're easy to load, no issues reloading. And in fact, today we experienced one magazine related issue with the SIG X Macro when we hadn't had any in the past with that thing. Now, granted, this thing did have a little bit of a break-in, but it was 4 rounds and we did a full review on it as well as all the rest of the pistols. This pistol has not been shot by me quite as much as the other two, but now it's starting to reach that point, but I still find it easier to shoot. I find it to be a pistol that is very concealable, yet ultra effective if you needed to use it as a gunfighting pistol and not feel outmatched. But with that also being said, guys, if you don't like shadow systems, then I think the SIG X Macro Comp is your next best option. In fact, I could probably tell you based off how that steel or metal one is that they have, it likely shoots even more comparable to the shadow systems, and you would see basically the same results. But that pistol also costs $400 more, so keep that in mind. Capacities wise, they're all the same. And again, guys, I probably can't stress it enough, there's not a bad option here on the table. And more importantly, if you're in the mood to be wrong, what I need you to do is watch the video and then get down in the comment section and attempt to tell me that you didn't see the shadow system shooting flatter and softer than the other pistols here on the table. But again, like I said, that's only if you feel like being wrong. Otherwise, stay tuned till next time.